What's up, guys? Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Today, I'm joined with Mike, who has sold 62,000 on Amazon, or 63,000. Am I messing up? 63,000?
Yeah, it's like 62 and a half. So
62,500. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome to the Amazon Savages podcast. Hear the stories of Amazon sellers crushing it in the game and keep up with the latest strategies that are working. Sit back, relax, and remember, if you truly try and work really hard, you will make a ridiculous amount of money selling on Amazon.
But you actually have to try. You have to put the effort in. That's what Mike did. He tried. He started in April, and he's mainly doing online arbitrage. So he's not going out physically finding the books. He's actually purchasing them online, sending them to a prep center, which we'll talk about. It's a pretty good prep center. I know the owner, and then he's getting the sales, rinsing, and repeating. So welcome to the pod, brother.
Hey, glad to be here.
All right, tell us how you did it. How'd you get to 62,000 in sales your first year? A lot of people sell on Amazon for a few months and then quit. What makes you different? Beard?
Exactly. You have to have a nice full beard. No, actually,
I'm screwed then.
Dude. Well, when I get to over 1 million, then we'll talk about that. I'm just following your footsteps. No, I've always pretty much been self-employed, and I sold everything I had in my last business after COVID, and I've been looking for stuff to do ever since then. And online just seemed to be the place to go, because with COVID, we all figured out that you need a plan where you could work from anywhere. If you're going into the office, you were screwed. So I wanted my next business to be something that, if I need to travel to, California, Hawaii, France, wherever, I could still work.
Mm-hmm.
So online was the place. And if you're online, what's the biggest marketplace in the world? It's Amazon. So the biggest marketplace in the world, what's their biggest product line? Books. I think it's like 57% of all the products they sell are books. So when you've got that huge of a market, you're like scattershotting. You don't have to be exact all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's really a lot of play there.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how because you made a great point. There's huge demand.
Yes.
So you're working on finding the supply, which a lot of people go out to thrift stores because it's easy to find items on the shelf, scan them, pick them up for $3, sell for $30. But what you're doing is you're doing it from home. So if you can talk a little bit about how you're finding the good books, where you're finding them, how much you're picking them up for, and on average what you're selling these for.
So what I do is I learned early on to read Keepa charts. Okay. And with Keepa charts, I use a search tool where, I'll primarily look for books that are in the 300,000 BSR range. They could be, a little higher, but, within the next 180 days, I want them to be in the 300,000 range. So these type of books are selling fast. When you're looking at books, you want something that's going to sell fast in the next 60, 90, 120 days. You don't want a book sitting on the shelf for 9 months, 12 months, just collecting dust, because it's not turning over. It's not bringing you any cash.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a limit on what I'll pay for a book. It just turns out the average I'm paying is like around $40, $45 per book.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take away fees, my ROI average is about 35%. So I'm looking for books that are going to sell fast. Like I said, 300,000 BSR or less.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the chart, you look at the price line, and you see what the price is going to be in, like I said, 30, 60, 90 days. So if I'm looking at the chart and for example, we've got textbook season coming up in January. So right now is a great time to buy textbooks because in January they're going to be selling for about 3 to 5 times what you're buying them now. So reading the chart's going to tell you all that. So I'm looking for books that are at the low of their sell range, and then in a few months they're going to be at the height of their sales range. That's my strategy, really.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a weekly or monthly spend goal?
Not really. What I've been lucky to do is take advantage of 0% credit cards, and everything I've bought so far has been 0%. So it's actually cost me nothing to have all my inventory in stock. So I combined the 0% theory, credit stacking, with the online arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
And it's whenever someone offers you 0% money, go for it. I mean, don't buy expensive clothes or stuff, but if you're using it for inventory that it's going to sell, it's going to turn around, okay, and the charts tell us these things are going to happen, 0% is great.
Do you know what percent of your inventory you're able to sell like on a monthly basis? So like, for example, if you have 1,000 in stock,
Yeah.
how many are you selling?
So I'm selling, well, we just came off of a textbook season, August, September. So that skews things a bit because textbook season is like Christmas. If you're heavy in textbook, everything basically sells. So during textbook season, I really turned over almost half of my inventory. Okay. And that was my first textbook season. It would have been higher if I had more experience. So next textbook season, I'll be more experienced and I will be able to sell more. But on like October this month, I'm probably at about 20% of the inventory sales so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty healthy. And then do you know like what your profit is on a monthly basis now?
Running about 30%.
Nice. Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
Right now, everything, of course, is getting reinvested back in. I kind of have this thing where I want to be at 250,000 in my first year. So everything just goes right back into the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you're mainly focusing on textbook flips then, or just anything under 300K sales rank?
Anything under 300K, and what you find is, when I do these searches, a lot of them are textbooks. I mean, you have seasonal stuff like we have Christmas coming up. So I was able to, I think I sourced about 250 Christmas books. So I got those all in, and now it's textbook season again. So everything that I'm looking at now really is textbooks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's about to be a great time to buy textbooks.
Yes.
Because November is the worst time to sell textbooks, which means a lot of these repricers for textbooks will compete. They'll go really low. So you can pick them up. Like if you look at all textbooks, like I think November is the worst time of year.
Yeah.
I think it's worse than March. And so you can pick up textbooks dirt cheap. And then literally textbook season starts. It kind of starts in December for real because of winter classes. And then January goes insane. So.
Yeah, it's funny, you look at the charts and you see books that are selling in November for $6-10. In January are selling for $40-50, and you're like, how could that happen? But it happens. I mean, it's a great thing. Right.
And then talk about using a prep center, because you're not touching any of these items.
I don't touch any, I don't think you can scale really without using a prep center. Mm-hmm. Because when I'm right now I have around 3,000 books in inventory. I mean, imagine having those come to my house. I'd have to go through them, check them all out, see if they're, the condition, make sure that they're actually the books that they say there are, and then clean them up, package them, and send them to Amazon. That's a job in itself. I mean, I use Little Alt Prep Center. Frank is a really good guy. It cost me $1.80, $1.85 for them to handle all that and do my listings. I mean, I would be up 24 hours a day doing that stuff. If it's like I go through your training a lot, and with your sourcing method, you're like, it's a $200 per hour job doing sourcing, but then when you do the prep, you bring it down to a $20 an hour job.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with online arbitrage. You make the money when you buy the book. Okay. If you're going to spend all that time doing prep, you're wasting a lot of your time.
Yeah. And it's funny because I didn't even know you use Little Owl. So real quick, I'll give a plug to them. And I usually do not shout out prep centers, but I will for this one, for two reasons. Number one, they've actually been a good prep center.
Yeah.
But that's not a valid reason for me to share, because I have good prep centers that I don't share because I'm scared that if I share them, they will become bad prep centers because so many people will use them.
Right.
So, but I've recommended him for a few years now, and not once has he dropped the ball. Any prep center you use, there probably will be issues, like if we're being honest about it, but he's been the best in terms of communication, and he's been in business probably for almost a decade now. So that's pretty impressive. And another cool thing about Frank is he is willing to use GoToLister. We're actually setting up a special offer. Yeah. So if you guys want to have him list with GoToLister, you can. That way you can have all your profit data in one place, what your items listed are, what your items sold. This is the GoToLister dashboard. And we also have the profit dashboard here, which breaks down what your sales are, what you pay for the items, total fees. So we're actually working on a partnership. I didn't even know this before you hopped on the pod, but me and Frank have been talking for a while about this. And then, so it breaks down the profit here. And then something else, this might actually help you, is GoToLister has a replen sheet. So there's two reports you can download. So you can download your sales report under orders, and you can download your items listed. And then you paste the raw data in here. And then it tells you, I don't know how often you're replenishing or restocking items that you sold, but this is more for like online arbitrage sellers that do like Nike, stuff like that. But it might be helpful for your business too. What it does is it looks at how many items sold over the last 30 days, or 7 days and 30 days. There's a formula that considers both those time periods. And then basically it considers the greater number based on those sales. So it looks at the last day the item sold for the last 7 days or the last 30, and then it multiplies it by 4, or it doesn't multiply it at all. And then it tells you, hey, you don't have a 30-day supply of X item. You should probably buy more. And so the buy more tab, the buy tab will turn yes. It'll put the words yes in it. And then the buy more tab will tell you how many units it thinks you should buy. And so this is a good way to stay in stock. So like maybe once or twice a month, you could run this, and maybe you're selling a lot of the same book. I don't know. Do you do that? Do you sell a lot of the same book?
There's a few titles that, like nursing titles, are constantly being sold and replenished.
Yeah.
The BSRs are sick, 20,000, 28,000 every month. So I'm constantly restocking those titles.
Yeah. So this just gives you insight, because as you scale, you get busy, and sometimes you forget that, hey, I was selling that one science textbook really well. And this spreadsheet, all you have to do is upload 2 reports from GoToLister, and then it spits out what you should purchase more of. So that's available for anyone who signs up for GoToLister. And if you use Little Owl, we're actually setting up a special offer. Make sure to tell them that Romer sent you and that you want to use GoToLister, and he'll hook you up with a special deal for GoToLister.
That would be good.
Prep centers are a game changer, man. Like it's a life hack. Like I say, like you just said, the money's made finding the book. But if it takes you 1 hour to find $200 in profit, okay, now your hourly wage is $200. But if it takes you 4 hours to list those books, you just divided it by 4 or 5. So now you're down to what would that be? $40 an hour. So and if you're using a prep center, you have 0 prep time.
Yeah.
And all your time is it comes down to how much money do you have? How much money are you willing to spend? And really staying on top of those turn rates, which that's another thing. It's important to track what you're on your dashboard. How many items are you selling? So track what your items sold are versus how many you have in stock. And if you're selling, you should be selling at least 20% of your inventory every month. So if you have 1,000 in stock, you should be selling at least 200. And then if your average sales price is good, you should be tracking your average sales price on a weekly basis too. If your average sales price is good, you should know what your average buy cost is. You just said your average buy cost was $40, 50?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you probably want your average sales price to be at least above 60 to break even. Maybe 65. 70 is probably getting into some pretty healthy profit. So you want to make sure your average sales price is high. And then assuming those two variables are good, that you're selling through your inventory and that your average sales price is healthy, which means your items are profitable, then you can make a listing goal. I want to list X number of units a month. And for traditional cherry pickers and booksellers, the items listed goal, in my opinion, is like the number one thing they should be focusing on. Like if you want to grow your business, set a goal. Maybe it's 400 a month. Maybe it's 1,000 a month. But for you, it's probably more of a spend goal. Like how much do you want to spend each month? Is it $4,000? Is it $10,000? You want to keep making that number bigger because you know that your ROI is between 30 and 40%. And as long as your sell-through is healthy and as long as you're profitable, then it just comes down to spending more.
Right.
So all these little numbers, like making sure these are in check. And then if they are in check, developing a number for what do I need to do to scale. And that's either items listed, increase the number of items you're listing, or which is kind of the same thing. How much are you spending? Increase that. And then everything remains the same. Sell through, average sales price. Those things are good, healthy. Your business is going to be all right.
And, one thing I've learned is to make better buy choices. I'm actually getting the cost per unit down. So I can get more units for the same bucks.
Are you doing like any type of negotiation on the buying side?
Not really, because I'm not buying deep, I'm buying wide. I mean, if it's a really fast selling book, I might buy 5 copies, but at this point, I'm still kind of a little risk adverse. So I'm not buying like 20 copies of anything. Though
My bad if you went over this already. What percent are you buying from eBay versus Amazon?
It's like 80% Amazon.
Okay.
Which, when you think about it, I'm buying on Amazon to sell on Amazon. That's it's a great thing. It's like, just reallocation of the product for a different cause.
And when you buy on Amazon, are you always buying merchant fulfilled?
Yeah, there's, maybe 1 or 2 times where you'll see something in Prime that somebody's trying to get rid of something, or they don't know what they've got and they'll price it really low, and I'll pick up Prime. But you generally don't want to buy Prime to sell Prime. Amazon doesn't like that. So do as much merchant fulfilled as possible.
Right. What advice can you give to someone who wants to sell 62,000 on Amazon in 6 months like you?
You have to have your goal, where you want to be, where you see yourself going 6 months, a year down the road. You've really got to learn, how to read the charts, how to make good buys. But also, like I said, the market is so huge and so forgiving. You can make, stupid mistakes and recover. So don't be afraid. And this is, I learned the hard way. Don't be afraid to lose money on a sale to turn over the funds, because you could lose, like I bought a book for $25, put it up. I didn't know at the time, I didn't look because I was young, that a newer edition had come out. So the book that normally would have sold for like $69, because this new edition came out, my edition was no longer good. So they were selling for like $15. I paid 20. I'm like, I don't want to get less than what I paid. But the longer I waited to mark that book down, the lower the price got. So I was like, you just got to get rid of it.
Cut your losses, get your money back, put it towards better books.
Exactly. That's it. That's the hardest lesson to learn. That it's okay sometimes to lose money.
Are you doing any type of repricing? Are you manually repricing?
I'm manually repricing. I look at repricers, and I haven't found any yet that the algorithms do what I would do. What I do is, I'll go in there, and it's not always marking the book down. Sometimes you're going to mark it up. And to stay within, a seller range, like books with the $300,000 BSR, 300,000 BSR, excuse me, I like to stay within the top 3 to 5 places on the FBA side. If it's 100,000 or less, I can stay within the top 10 places. So, you don't want to give up that extra profit if you don't have to. So I look at repricers, and I take into account, what I'm doing. And when I find one that, is smart enough, then yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. It's difficult because Amazon wants to keep the prices of items low, to keep the customers happy. They're a consumer-centric business. And so they limit us sellers on repricing data, on pricing data. That way it makes it harder for us to reprice.
Right.
They only show us oftentimes the lowest prices. So all these repricers can only compare against the lowest offers. So if there's a chance for you to price your item higher, maybe because there's not that much competition, maybe because you're the only prime FBA seller, they won't have access to that data. And so you can't price higher. That's why manually repricing is really good.
Yeah. I think my next step is actually to get a VA and teach them how to reprice and hand that over to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes about half my day right now to reprice.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I have a buddy. He's got like 25 VAs.
Wow.
Tim Soros, and he gives 30% of his bottom line profit to his team as like incentives. So if they bring in X profit, different team members get a percentage of the bottom line. He always does bottom line profit. That way it's like true profit. And he's just created so many good systems, from sourcing to repricing to managing inventory to purchasing inventory. Every single person gets a profit share. And I've recently started doing this with my team. They get a small percentage, but a couple percent profit on our wholesale products, because for me, it's such a hassle, even like once or twice a week, to sit down, look through the catalog, think, what do I need to repurchase? And just by giving him like $400 a month, 2% profit share, he's able to really come up with good decisions on what we should purchase more of. Oh, this ASIN's not selling, we should probably reprice it. He starts thinking more like an owner versus,
Right.
oh, let me do X, Y, Z for Avery. So I think if you do get a VA, somehow incorporating bottom line profit into their incentive structure, that way they kind of build and grow your business for you.
That's a great idea, because you always, in my other businesses, I always want my employees to have a stake, to know that they're being compensated for their direct effort. So, they can sit around and run the clock down, or they can be productive and boost their salaries. And I think most people, given the opportunity, would rather boost their salary, and those are the people you want around.
What other businesses have you been in?
Mostly construction and real estate.
Mm-hmm.
I had a construction company that did, we took warehouses and made them into condos. And after I sold that, I bought some short-term rentals, Airbnb type things. So it's all been, labor intensive stuff. Mm-hmm. This is all kind of new to me, sitting at a desk and, point and click, buy, and never touch the inventory. And
yeah,
it's insane, believe me, when I tell you this.
That's probably what attracted it to you, right?
It really did. I mean, I'd been looking at, different ways to make money online, and you see all these gurus with, telling you to buy ads, bring traffic to your landing page through your sales funnel. I got to tell you, none of that worked.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tried it.
You did?
Nothing. Yeah.
Or your construction company, or?
No, I bought some of these courses where you buy just healthcare products or whatever products that are selling the best on, the different distributor sites. And then you try to set up ads to build traffic so you can sell these things. All I got was all my ads were banned for some reason. Google, YouTube, Facebook, the ads would run a couple days and then they'd all be banned. So it was frustrating. But yeah, Amazon so far, they've been pretty cool.
Yeah, you made a really good point that there's so much demand and there's so much supply.
Yeah.
And so if you just get a small percent of that, you only need like 0.000000001% to make a decent living from it. So
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You go with the biggest market, and there's so much there that it's easy to get, a small percent of it. Unlike if you're, I don't know, selling a supplement that sells 100 times a month, how many of those sales are you going to take and make money from versus, books that sell millions of times. So I'd rather stick with the big market.
Mm-hmm. So your goal is 250,000 this year?
Yes. And then by the third year, I really wanted to be at 7 figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's going to take hiring more people, expanding the systems.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm planning for that.
Who did you learn most of the online arbitrage stuff from?
I started with a company called Book Arbitrage.
Okay.
They've got a good course. They're really keen on data, learning the charts, learning to read the charts, setting up systems. So that's where I started. But when I started, I also didn't know that you can get a lot of stuff online. So there's some good online YouTube stuff, Jojo Davenport, Victor Gallegos, those
Yep.
guys are really, I mean, your stuff that your 4-part course, the new one that you just came out with,
Mm-hmm.
This
I'm
is
actually
stuff
thinking
that
about having Joji and maybe even
Yeah.
Victor come on and shoot some modules for Start Humble.
Yeah.
StartHumble.com has all my strategies that I've personally sold over $1 million in books. Like, it's just everything laid out for free. I used to charge $400 for that course. You guys can go to StartHumble.com. But I've thought about having Joji, because he is such a good teacher,
Right.
do like a little module where we just show how to flip the books.
Yeah, and he, goes into depth on Keepa charts. Victor's really great on, reading the data as well. And you learn those fundamentals for online arbitrage. You really need that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because after looking at Start Humble stuff, Saturday I'm going to go to my first Friends of the Library sale.
Yeah.
See how that
Dude, the
works.
awesome thing. And where are you located again?
Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, nice. Yeah, it's a pretty good area, actually. A lot better than Miami. I used to live in Miami. But you'll feel like a kid in a candy store, because you're used to spending $30, $40 a book, and now you're going to see like a $3 book that's going to make you $40, $50.
Right.
And so it's pretty awesome to go from online arbitrage back to thrifting and cherry picking, because it just changes your whole perspective. You're like, I'll spend $200 at this sale. I don't give a shit. $500. Like, if you're able to spend $500 at a sale, that means you're probably making $2, $3, $4 grand.
Right.
So
yeah, I watched all your stuff. I've got my not GoToLister. What's the
Scout IQ?
Scout IQ? Thank you.
Yep.
On the phone, and I'm ready.
Just a reminder, guys, speaking of Scout IQ, check this out. I'll throw it on the screen. We now allow you to create shipments on Scout IQ to restricted inventory. So if you come across a textbook that you can't sell, a lot of textbooks sell for $100 plus. What I recommend you do with a textbook, logically, this is probably the smartest thing to do, is first see if there's any vendor on bookscouter.com that's purchasing the book. That's number one. If Valor Books is offering $60 cold hard cash and they're the highest bidder, send it to Valor Books. Number two is you can look on eBay and see if there's proof of the book selling. And number three, consider sending it to restrictedinventory.com, because a lot of times if you send your book to restrictedinventory.com, that's a consignment service where we will sell the textbook for you on Amazon FBA. And oftentimes we're able to sell it for way more profit than you would make if you sold it on eBay after the 50-50 split, or it just sells faster. Like Amazon FBA sells fast. If you list it on eBay, it might not sell for eternity. So if you look at Scout IQ, I'll throw it in the screen real quick. It's going to mute us. Right there. If you guys saw inside of the screen, it shows you the restricted inventory price. That's a new. You can actually create shipments from Scout IQ to restricted inventory. So we just recently integrated with them. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, actually, I just sent some stuff into you guys at restricted inventory.
Awesome.
And there's stuff I want to send. Like I bought some Christmas CDs, and there's one of them that I'm gated, so I wanted to send in to you guys. But because right now it's not season yet, it's telling me that there's no profit, so it's not worth it.
Yeah.
But next month it'll be, I think they're going to go for around $29. I spent $5 for them, so the profit's going to be pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So how would I send those in, given that they're not profitable now, but they will be profitable by the time it's listed and sent to Amazon?
You can always just, if you like, you obviously know what you're doing. So you can always just email my team, hey, I want to send this item, and just include the ISBN or UPC, and then I think in restricted inventory, I think we still have this feature where you can list it anyway. So it'll say not profitable, and then you can dispute it and then list it anyway. If we don't have that feature, we may have taken it away. Just be sure to email our team a manifest of the items, and then you can send them. But only do that, guys, if you're actually like competent and you know what items are good, because we do get a lot of trash from people who in the past we have, and that's why we made the trigger rules to only send us good stuff. So don't abuse that, and be sure to email my team. But you can bypass the system that way.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted to get those out before, like I said, because in about a month they'll start going crazy.
Yep. All right. Well, I got another podcast coming up, but real quick, wanted to talk about GoToList. If you guys aren't already, we kind of talked about how you make your money purchasing the books. You don't want to waste your time listing the books. This is factually the fastest listing software on the planet. It helps you save hours and hours of time each month. And Little Owl Prep uses it as well, but check how fast you can list like 20 books.
The reason I love the new GoToLister.com is because I can scan faster than I ever have been able to on any other listing app. Watch how quickly I can scan over 35 books.
So that was my employee who works for me, and she's been really excited about GoToLister because like she's got kids and stuff at home. And so if she has like a bunch of books in a pile, like her kids will start like playing with them, jumping in the boxes and stuff. So she's happy. We made the switch we used to use Excel or List, but GoToLister is a lot faster. And if you guys are using Seller Central or Inventory Lab, I promise you, GoToLister will quadruple your speed at least. So, and in addition, if you guys use Little Owl Prep, which I do recommend you go and check out their website, their prep centers, if you do online arbitrage, we also, give you your dashboard stats, which these are going to get so much better with time. We're about to put on our website our roadmap, but right now we just tell you what your profit is, items sold, items listed, total orders, average sales price. But we're going to have turn rate pretty soon, which is like what % of your inventory you're selling each month. And just like you guys have access to this spreadsheet, just email my team for the GoToLister replenish sheet. This will tell you what items to restock in. Pretty soon, all of this is going to be within GoToLister. So everyone that joins now, just know we have a lot. Like my developer, my partner in the business is working on coding this like a madman. He's coding like 10 hours a day. So we have a huge vision for GoToLister to help you manage inventory as well.
Once you get that integrated with Little Owl, I'll be all over that. I mean, data is, fundamentals of online arbitrage.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to call him today. So anyone listening right now, me and Frank have been texting back and forth for a few months, but I'm going to call him today, and we'll get he's used GoToLister before. He used the old version. So back when we started GoToLister, like a couple years ago, it was terrible, like the very first version of it. And he dealt with using it we used to use it to list all the items for restricted inventory. And Frank used to prep all the items for restricted inventory before restricted inventory went through a lot. And like now we have an approved EPEG approved account to sell textbooks on. So all textbooks need to be routed to Texas to get checked to verify they're not counterfeit. And Frank's not able to do those processes. That's why we don't use them anymore. But he knows like the old shitty version of GoToLister. So that's another reason why I love him, because they're willing to, like, if you are a bigger client of theirs, even if you're a smaller client, probably they're willing to like work with you and do certain customizable things. Yeah.
They've been great.
Yeah. Any last words of advice for little Mikes that are 6 months before you right now?
I started, like I said, 6 months ago with zero knowledge. I mean, I didn't even know the markets existed. I did not know that you could buy off of Amazon or eBay or, Bookfinder and sell the exact same book on Amazon for 2-3 times as much.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm 59. If I could, take and learn stuff at 59 and kind of be moderately successful. And hopefully my, goals and visions will come true. But if I can do it, really anybody can do it. That's the thing. Just got to start.
Awesome. We'll go look at good luck at your Fort Lauderdale estate sale.
Thank you. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
And look forward to chatting with you more, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.